Me and Mr. Lightwork were supposed to go live right now, but I have to get a message out first, I guess. So let's do this. All right, I have to finish. Okay. Seven of Cups. Wow, okay. Six of Pentacles. Wow. Okay. Queen of Pentacles. Okay. So, hey guys, it's me, Fiery Grace the Gifted. Welcome. Quick emergency reading. Divine Masculine needing to speak up. I guess it makes sense that Mr. Lightwork would be here.
Hello.
Maybe there's a reason for that. Okay, so while everyone gets a chance to get here, I'm going to lay out a quick spread. Again, I don't really know if this is for a particular group, union, separation, whatever in between. I don't know what this is about. But if you've been feeling like there's a message coming through from your DM, I know a lot of times people actually say to me, like, Grace, I was waiting for you. I knew that you would have this message, or my guides told me to come to you. So if you've been waiting for me to do a divine masculine message, hello, welcome. I guess this is it. Just looking over what we have here, the King of Cups was here before I did the final split, and then the Queen of Pentacles was here. I did not check that deck, but it's interesting that she shows up in the divine deck. I kind of get a sense of some sort of alignment is happening, a rebalancing, and the divine masculine is finally making the choice to get into the energy, drink the Kool-Aid, if you will, but like getting into the energy required in order to step forward. Mr. Lightwork, you got anything on that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just...
You said the masculine stepping into the energy required to move forward?
Yeah.
Yes, and I believe that the stay at home or the lockdown is helping to assist in that. The divine masculine is no longer in the same consistent, monotonous day after day routine. They're forced to take a second pause and really just have time to think. And that time to think is making them question what on earth is happening right now, and if something like this is happening, what is the purpose of being here? I don't like it's mind-boggling, and that is they're using that time to try to figure and decipher what's going on with them and what possible moves they can make in the future in order to try to help the planet as a whole.
Whoa. It's interesting that you say that because the Seven of Cups is a card where they typically talk about the shock that comes from something appearing in front of you, almost like the thing that rolls in with the storm. And the Seven of Cups has the seven different cups filled with different things, and the person's just kind of standing there, unable to make a move. And I have a feeling that you said it right, that the lockdown changed a lot for everybody. But for the divine masculines, it forced them into a new normal, like the rest of us. But they were kind of in this tunnel vision, same old, for a long time. And by being forced out of that, at first they resisted. And I think after a while, they started to look at what was in front of them, like they could no longer avoid looking at the things that had rolled in with that storm. They tried for probably, I would say for maybe March and a little bit of April, the divine masculines tried to hold on to the plans they had, the visions they'd had. But I think now
Into the 2020 that into the January and February that 2020 was supposed to happen. So that's what we were looking forward to.
Well, it makes sense that if they are more the divine providers and protectors, that they would want to be in control of these things, and being taken out of that, um, I think they're trying to figure out how to regain it, how to at least here and now where we are. I think they're finally coming to terms with the fact that they're not going to be able to live the way they used to live, but that they can still find a way to get on top in this life. Very interesting that you talk about them trying to make sense of things, trying to figure out what is going to be a part of their life in the future, because the Queen of Pentacles is the main thing. Six of Pentacles, the divine masculine way of showing love. Okay, so let's hold on a second. Let me get, actually, let's start over here. Let me get cards, because I really still want to make sure there's time to go live. We're going to go live. Me and Mr. Lightwork will be live after this. We were supposed to go live now, but like I said, you guys know how these messages come through for me. They just kind of come out of nowhere. But all right, let's... Whoa. Ooh, what are you? All right. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, and final card. Ooh, that was very fast.
Hello.
All right, so is that even... I'm going to move this down a little bit. If you get motion sickness, close your eyes. I honestly never know if it's going to be like too much. All right, so it's probably a really crooked, but whatever. Let's figure this out. I think that the answer to the question will lie here. So we're going to start over here, work our way through. And this, I guess this is where you're going to need to take what resonates as usual, blah, 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 to figure out what it is that your guys are trying to get through about the 5D stuff in order for you to be able to understand the message coming from the divine masculines 3D, because I do get the sense of that. I know sometimes we'll, as a reader, we'll sense that, okay, this is definitely coming from a place of spirit, but I feel the density of personhood in this message. This is a calling out on a deeper level, but it is still a collective thing. I don't know what the heck this is about. This is very weird. Let's find out. What is it that divine wants us all to know? So divine has sent this energy in, and the divine masculine has already become aware of it. But what is it? Do we need confirmation for the divine feminines? Is it, you know, being brought up to speed? What is this? What's happening here? Okay. So this was, okay. This was the total in our energy. Remember we had, oh my goodness, what do we have? 7 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, 14. So we can straight off see that where the divine masculine is now, energetically speaking, was brought about on purpose for such a time as this. You know, I love to say that. Okay, what do we have here? Cooperation stands out. Waiting for perfect timing. So there may be something that maybe we're getting information about how to wait. Maybe we're getting information about how to stand firm and strong and still feel the cooperative energy, the energy of union and doing things together, even if it's not exactly what we thought. 4 of Cups. Missing an opportunity. I see. So so I think that in our impatience, I think the divine masculines are experiencing this as well. In their impatience, they missed some opportunities over the last couple of months. In our impatience, generally speaking, as divine feminines, kind of waiting around in many cases for our divine masculines to stand in, step up, whatever it is they need to do, we might have been missing some things as well. Maybe they saw it and a part of them is trying to lead us out in some way. Let's find out though. Discontentment. I will say that discontentment is not always meant to be a negative, that it is discontentment and boredom that leads to innovation. You know, you made your best games when you were a kid, when you were the boredest, when you had the least amount of entertainment is when you came up with the most creative, outlandish, wild, and grand ideas of how to have fun. And so don't look at this as a bad thing. So what is it that divine has sent down in the need to bring balance, in the need to open us up to what could be if we were able to somehow work together, even if we are not together, if that makes sense? Let's find out. Sheesh. Okay, the sun. We've got major arcana energy. What's interesting about this is in this deck, the sun is actually like a fully grown angel rather than a young child. But we still have the sunflowers and the butterflies and the happy sunlight. I love the fact that it's kind of like a new dawn in the background versus the sun shining from above. This is very intriguing to me because this angel looks very similar to that angel. I know they're different. This says Uriel and Zadkiel, but it's almost as if this person came down. Ooh. So what if... Ooh. Okay, this is weird. All right, hear me out, guys. What if this is saying that the divine masculine's 5D has finally checked in? like, you know how we have these 5D conversations, but I think that oftentimes we're really speaking like to our true self in the heavenly realm or whatever realm we exist as one. But I feel like here it's like the divine masculine has finally checked in the 3D. Maybe that's why I finally feel the density of a 3D personhood. This is interesting. What if they're saying that they finally come? And even though that still might not mean the divine masculine is perfectly open, aligned, and standing merged with their 5D, but what if this means that we can finally work together? Oh, apart. Because, oh, it's not saying apart like separation. It's saying apart like how okay, it's the point of twin flames. So okay, where's my drawing? I think it's, did I move it? Of course I moved it. Wait, is there a drawing right there that I did it for you that one time? Of the yin and the yang? Like right there? Ha, okay. So I explained to Mr. Lightwork recently what I believe is how twin flames can be twins and not twins, be divine masculine, divine feminine, and yet also have the opposing energy within. And basically what I said is in the heavenly realm, you know, when in, you know me, Christian ideology. So in our angelic form, we are one. We are whole. When we come down here, we are still made into whole. However, we split and one of us gets one half more than the rest. So one of us gets mostly divine masculine. One of us gets mostly divine feminine. Now we still come from this and therefore we're still very, very similar, if not identical. But at the same time, because we have more of one and more of the other, we're not exactly the same. We don't behave the same way. We don't think the same way. I bring this up to say, I think that the divine masculine has shown up so that we're able to work apart but together, meaning before we were sending our messages into the ether, into the 5D and saying, hey, 5D divine masculine, that's a part of my oneness. You know, can you talk to the divine masculine? Can you, my 3D, can you encourage them? Can you, you know, can you tell them how I really feel? Because technically we're one. And if, hold on, I'm so sorry, guys. You know I don't like to do this, but where's the chariot? Oh, man. It's probably on the bottom. I always say that. Okay. Oh, look, right by the 9 of Pentacles and the, oh, okay. It's like this. You guys have heard me talk about that before, where this person is this person, and this person is the divine masculine, this is the divine feminine, and yet they almost look identical. They're both sphinxes, but you can see this one has the bosom, you know, and they both have the eyes, okay, but yet for some reason this being doesn't have eyes. They could have easily drawn eyes in this person, but they didn't, because this person has sent their spirit into these two beings. This is why I call this the twin flame card. That being said, I see this as saying the divine masculine has entered the building. The divine masculine is here. Something happened where the inner masculine within the 3D counterpart is no longer dormant. That's why you have to be here tonight, because you're the one who came up with that term. Mr. Lightwork is the one who coined the phrase dormant divine masculine, where your divine masculine is in there and yet all you see is ego and stress and pain, and you're like, oh my gosh, how is it possible that I sense myself in you and yet you're so terrible? Like straight up, you're not a good person, you're mean, you're nasty, you're angry. And it's because their 5D self within may still exist in the heavenly realm, pulling the strings and doing things, but their 3D, the eyes have not opened yet. They have not checked in. This is a wild fucking reading. Okay, so what does that mean? We'll just go ahead and slide you back in, buddy. What does that mean then? The rebalance has occurred. We're going to be able to be more cooperative. Whether or not your divine masculine shows up in the 3D and does what they're supposed to do in the 3D, just know that your 5D DM has now checked in the building. So you will be working in cooperation with them more than you know. What does that mean here in the 5D? Because remember, this is us. This, even though we're doing a divine masculine 3D reading, this 5D represents both of our energies. And this 5D squared or God energy represents what divine is sending down to us and how the information gets disseminated through. And so our 5D is receiving this and saying, finally, it's time to plant the seed. This is wild. This is dope. So we're finally ready to do what needs to be done to establish ourselves. And our 5D senses it. And so this is going to awaken a lot more things in us. Yeah, no more holding back. This is where we've been, I think. We've been in this mode. Now that's another 4. That's weird. We've been in this mode for a really long time. Waiting, 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 waiting. And now it says, nope, release. You're past that. You've moved beyond that. You've entered the court of Thanksgiving, and it's time to be alert, be prepared, and do what needs to be done. So what's the message for the 5D about this then? If the divine masculine in the 5D has checked in, and we see now it's time to plant the seed, wow, it's time to let go. We can no longer continue to nourish what does not need to be nourished. We can no longer continue to pour into the things that don't matter. And we also cannot be so afraid of death or the ending of things. Remember, death does not come to kill. We don't see a sword anywhere with this person. But we do see a flag. It's a surrender. It says, come with me, follow me into the next, the great beyond, to the unknown. You've already done it. You're already gone, or they're already dead, or it's already over. And death is sitting here waiting for you. You see, it's funny that we talk about the new dawn in the background, and we see the new dawn. It's time. There. Yeah.
That was a good one. How you piece them together? I like that.
I just feel like, and the fact that it's on a white horse too, there's a purity with it. And you know what I feel like a part of the problem for the Divine Feminine Collective with this message is going to be, I've been waiting. I've been ready to let go. I've been ready to move forward. I don't understand why I'm getting this message again. And it's like, well, obviously you've been in waiting mode for so long. You probably didn't think death would come. You've been waiting around so long for things to move into the next phase. You probably didn't believe it was possible anymore. And so you're not getting this message to beat a dead horse. They're not, death. They're not trying to give you a hard time. They're trying to say to you, listen, you held on for good reason. Trust yourself. Trust the truth of this situation. You've got it. You're on the right track. There were just some things that I guess needed to catch up, or maybe death had a couple other stops to make. But listen, the transition has come. Whoa, this is freaky. I think for the Divine Masculine, this is saying, listen, now that you acknowledge and have humbled yourself and are no longer, because you guys know this is the low vibrational Emperor. You can put this card and the Emperor card next to each other and very much see this is the Emperor when he was young and immature and childish and petty and angry and
keep it all to himself.
Yeah, and he still has some problems with that in his older years, but he works on it diligently. And when he slips up and he becomes too rigid, that's why he has his Empress around to soften him and to remind him. And when she's too flowy and acting like a fairy all the time, he comes in and says, listen, we have a job to do. And so they both really bring a beautiful balance to each other. You see, even in the 5D, what do we have? 13 and 1 is 14 is balance. We're seeing a lot of 4s and a lot of 14s. All right, final message then. So what is it that we needed to know? Why are we being told, hey, the Divine Masculine, at least in the 5D, has checked in? And you need to release what you thought was going to be. You need to release everything that you were anticipating based on the old way things were going. You have no idea what this new world is all about. This new, I don't know. I guess it's just a part of the energetic shift. You don't really understand it because you've been so caught up in yesterday. Tomorrow's a new day, and it's not a day that you were expecting, but in a really good way, in a beautiful, powerful way. But it's just, you're gonna have to let it go. So how is this? I wish I would have, no, okay, sorry. Well, how is this impacting the Divine Masculine in the 3D? How did they receive this information? Because this right here, to me, says it was speaking to their ego. What's under here? Release and the wheel. And there's our King of Cups. Yeah, okay. All right, just one more. And there's our 9 of Cups. So there's...
Release the cycle, release the wheel. Let go of the cycle.
And
bring balance to yourself.
Yeah, and that's what the King of Cups is about, emotional balance. And then we see Judgment underneath with the 9 of Cups. I mean, it's like, if you really want to make your wishes and your dreams come true, you saw all that major arcana energy with the emotions.
Yeah.
But this is what the Divine Masculine is tied to most emotionally, is their pentacles. That's what they really, truly care about, whether it's on a materialistic level or whether it's just on, again, the natural provision and protection and having the money to be able to protect that kind of, and let whatever it is, this is where their heart is.
The more money DM has, the more people he can protect.
I think also that's good. And I think also the divine masculine, the more money he has or she has, they can spend more time with their family and friends. The more that they have, the more Ten of Pentacles just kind of being able to enjoy each other and enjoy prosperity that they can have too. They weren't wrong for wanting to pursue it. They were wrong for wanting to pursue it without their divine feminine. In some cases, maybe both had to do their own thing, but the truth is they're better together because of the balance that is brought. So divine is finally saying, all right, let's bring things to a new level. Let's take the person, most likely divine feminine, who's been doing all the work, and now we're going to put some in the divine masculine's cup. Okay, we're going to pour this into now the ball's in your court. DM, what are you going to be doing? So what is it that they received? Wow, yet another 4. Across the top, we had 444 in some way. And actually now we have 14, 14. So you want to talk about real balance, real alignment, real divine intervention coming in. The divine masculine feels it. This is the 4 of Swords. It's laying down after the battle. After, matter of fact, wow, this is crazy because that's 4. 1 and 3 is 4. And these two cards, y'all know my story if you've been around long enough. These two happen simultaneously. While death is out cleaning up the battlefield of all the bad that happened during the war, the divine masculine who survived the war, who survived the battle, has come home to lay in their coffin. You might be like, some of you don't know the story and don't know about the history, but in some cultures, it was common for the divine, sorry, not the divine masculine, for the warrior to build their coffin before they went, to save their family the trouble and the stress of doing so when they came home. If they survived, they would lay in their coffin and they would take them the time to reflect on where they could have lost in the battle, where things could have went wrong, where they might have, could have died, how lucky they are to be alive. And this is also a card about PTSD, because that's a lot of what happens when you come home if you do have any trauma from being at war, where you're meant to heal and reflect and hopefully heal from it enough where you can go back into a beautiful life with your family and your friends and be happy to be alive. This divine masculine is healing right now. This is a sign of preparation. The next card in line after these two things happen is the 6 of Wands. They're ready to go back out to fight another day and to have victory. But in this moment, they're reflecting, I think, on their foundation. That's probably why the 4s keep showing up. The 4 is also the number of the Emperor. So we think 4 of Wands, we think Emperor, but we also think 4 in terms of foundation and stability. These divine masculines, that's what they're looking for. And they're reflecting on it so that they don't keep making the same mistakes again. They're recognizing that a lot of their heartache came from their own decisions or inability to choose or whatever was going on in their previous life and the way they used to do things. They needed to take some time to mourn this. And it's been frustrating for them, especially now that they're becoming more discerning, that their inner masculine has truly awakened. Whether or not these two get along and see eye to eye, their 5D and their 3D self, that doesn't matter. The 5D self is now here to stay. What's back here? What do we need to know? What did we say? This is what they want. 10 of Pentacles is what they're looking for. And again, it's not because they want some of them might have come off as materialistic, but they're really not. Some of them are materialistic, but that's something that will be released from them over time. But what's really cool is you see the divine masculine realizing that the 10 of Pentacles is built from the single pentacle. One seed can start an entire forest. Why? Because that one tree can grow, and then all the little whatever, fruit that it yields, all the little seeds in that fruit can then create more and more and more. All it takes is one. And the divine masculine is starting to see their power. And oh, would you look at that? That's 14 again. I mean, this is wild. Okay, so freaky. Final message. This is it. This is what the divine masculine wants you to know. I hope it's not anticlimactic, because the divine masculines can do that sometimes. Please be a 4. No, I'm just kidding. But
crossing our fingers. Long
story short, the question to this is going to help you. You need to figure out, before I do this, you need to figure out what it is your guides were trying to tell you. Some of you have been seeing 444 a lot, even before and after the portals that were happening last month in April. Some of you, oh, you know what? Today is also the new moon in Gemini. Huh. Okay. Interesting, because that's 2 and 2, and that's 4. That was yesterday. The 22. What's today? The 23rd? Oh, this is so okay.
22nd.
Today is the 22nd. So the new moon's tomorrow?
22nd is 4.
Oh, my calendar is off and it looked like it was the 23rd. My bad. That's I have a piece of laminating something over my calendar and it was lifted. So it looked like the 23rd was tomorrow or was today. I was like, I'm so confused. So it is today. Okay, focus. My bad. I got distracted. My point in saying all that is the situation that's happening now, you need to figure out what they were trying to get a hold of you about. What is it they were trying to say to you specifically? So that you can understand how your divine masculine is speaking. Because again, this is very confusing for me to give a message to an entire collective knowing that the message will be unique. I don't like that sometimes because leaving it up to the interpretation of some is really beautiful because people have a high level of discernment, but others are going to take this so literally even if they're not supposed to. And I'm just worried. So please make sure you understand that you know what this was about for you. So now that we understand, let's go ahead. What is it the divine masculine needed to tell the divine feminine? Your work will be rewarded and so will mine. The fact that we have now on this board, Pentacles, Major Arcana, one sword, we felt the emotion in one space. We've had the fours building the stability. We have, to me, I see 1 and 4 is initiation of stability. I'm working on it more than you know. In fact, I'm farther along than you think. I have to get it right though. And this is another reason I think the divine masculine is just now receiving the 5D self, because the 5D self could only come in when the vessel was actually prepared to start doing the work on that level. The fact that we're also seeing the number 8 is saying, listen, it's my duty to make sure that whatever it is that I build allows us to find the abundance that we deserve. And so yes, I'm farther along than you think. I'm ready to plant the seed. I also need you to understand that I know what I'm doing. As inadequate and unenlightened or whatever it is that we look at our divine masculines when they're not, on whatever level it is we've decided they should be on. As much as we look down on them and don't want to admit it, but that's what we're doing, we do not realize that they know what they're doing deep down. And now that the 5D has officially checked in, that can no longer be in question. It cannot, period. And they're letting you know, listen, I'm doing my job. You need to do yours. That can come across as kind of, but eventually you do have to understand, eventually you guys are going to be equal. You're going to be equal partners. You're going to be working together. And your divine masculine will be in a place where they can speak to you and tell you, listen, this is a problem. As your helper, as your partner, as your friend, I'm here to say to you, you can't keep doing that. There is a point where that's going to happen because it's supposed to. Don't let this first message coming through of them saying, do your job, stay focused. I'm thinking about my divine feminine and my queen, and I need to make sure I can trust you. Don't get mad and get all affronted because, well, wait a minute, I've been doing my work. How dare you suddenly come along? It's like when they suddenly wanted to help Chicken Little bake the bread. And she's like, well, I done all this work to bake the bread. And it's like, dang, I can't, I'm ready to help. Now you don't want it. Now you're just going to complain. And so this is interesting. The divine masculine is saying, do your work. I'm doing mine. And I'm going to get this right. They were not wrong to want to pursue pentacle perfection, whatever that meant for them. Some of them, that did not mean being a millionaire. Some of them, it didn't even mean anything to do with their home or their career or their wealth. There's so many different aspects to the energy of the pentacle. But ultimately what they're saying to you is, I know who I am as a divine masculine at this point. I can see it, I can feel it, I can sense it. And even though I may not be there yet, I still am that person. So trust me, let me get this work done. Let me do the things that are important and required of me, just like you have been able to do the things that are required of you. So this to me is one of the first, I got a little, this is to me as the divine masculine stepping in as a leader for the first time for many of us in a long time, if not ever. Coming in and saying, hey, listen, I got this. And then they beat their chest.
Just a little bit.
I got this. And it's like, ooh, masculine. Oh, okay. If you're excited to see that and you're ready and you're waiting for them, you probably felt the same way, like, ooh. But if you immediately drew your sword, you need to ask yourself, are you really ready for union then? If the first thing you're going to do when they try to step in and step up is try to overpower them, that's not the cooperation you've been saying you want. That's not the compromise you've been saying you're willing to do. So check yourself, make sure you're ready, make sure you're aware, and let them do their thing, because they've been working a lot harder than you think. And now that the DM has arrived, they're in there. Let's see. I'm going to read this from
I
the...
think the reason it doesn't look like the masculines work so hard is because our work is internal as well, as opposed to the feminine, who's already a more spiritual being. They're already set internally spiritually, so their work more than likely is on the outside trying to make something manifest in that nature. But the masculine's work is on the inside, so I think that's why it appears like they may not be working.
That's a really good point. You know, Mr.
But a lot of
Lightwork...
the times it's much more stressful to work with something inside, as we all know. So,
Right.
especially for a masculine, not being a comfort zone, that not being familiar territory, but that's where great things spawn. So,
I mean, I see a person who has an invisible illness. I see a person who people see them all over at the grocery store, at work, and everyone just looks at them like, "Oh, you're fine." But inside they're dealing with depression, or they're dealing with, you know, some sort of like disease that is hurting their organs, or some, you know what I'm saying? Like something that we don't know is possible and it doesn't show signs.
some people that hurt the most smile the biggest.
Exactly. And I think that that might be part of the issue here is divine feminine. If you had an invisible illness, maybe in your strength, you would be able to go out there and smile and do your thing. But it would be nice to be acknowledged, right? It would be nice to experience fairness, even though life is unfair at the moment because you're dealing with someone people can't even see you deal with and how strong you are. So imagine how your divine masculine must feel, making all these internal shifts. And they're not even typically emotionally, that must be why we saw the King of Cups show up. They're not even emotionally attuned like we are. So imagine them having to deal with something without that, and especially as a masculine, where most feminines, I mean, I don't really experience this, but I know a lot of feminines do have kind of a small network. Again, not all. Some of you guys are like me, where you don't have anybody, but some of you will have like a small network of other people, usually other divine feminines that you can interact with, whether it's your, you know, your mom and your aunt and them, or your friends from school or whatever. And so they usually don't have that. And even if they try to reach out to their friends are going to help them with
We're
that.
not talking about that. We're going to slam some beers and forget about it. What are you going to do, bro? This is not a soap opera.
So exactly. How is a divine masculine supposed to feel? They're the divine masculine. It's what they're going to do.
And that was implanted in us by society and the environment and media and
the divine masculines,
everything.
they knew that
Exactly.
the people they thought were showing them how to be a real man.
The strongest divine masculines back in the day were the bulldogs, the ones that were nose to the grindstone type. Those were the pillars of manhood. Those were the ones that could take care and have big parties and take care of everybody, fill people's bellies, fill their cups. That was the ideal situation. That's why I think, you know, like violence was so, and gangs and stuff was so popular in the 90s era. That was when the shift started, and it was really idealized at that time that like that was the easy and quick way to provide for whoever was around at the time.
So now you have divine masculines who are like, wait, what? I have to do internal work and help people from within.
I have to work on my emotions. I don't have to get money. What do you mean?
And connect people, or to get money, I have to connect people with their emotions. And it's not all about violence and raiding and raping and pillaging. I actually have to do some kindness, and it's not normal, you guys. Think about how long the patriarchy has been around, and now we're asking our divine masculines to shift.
Facts. Those are facts that we built entire lives around. That is our identity. So that's being ripped from us, and pretty much saying that everything we thought was important is unimportant. So we feel like at that point that there is no identity. We're scrambling. We're just in the midst of nothing that's just floating, trying to make sense of it. And that's really what this like home lockdown is representative of. And that's what allowed the 5D to come in at this point in time, because the 3D had to sit their butts down. And then probably in March and April, we were just fighting it, waiting around. That's probably why some opportunities were missed in that card from the beginning in the first deck. So the opportunities were probably missed by people expecting things to try to get back to normal quicker than they would. And now that they've had time to sit down and marinate in the fact that this is what it's going to be for a while. This is a new way of life. They got to adapt now. So that's where the awakening is coming in.
Well, I no, I don't. I think that you're right, and I think that it's good to have your voice and your opinion on this because I also think it's going to help people see that it's true, that it's real. Because there's a divine masculine sitting right here who didn't say, "Nope, I don't agree with this reading. This isn't real." Like I have a feeling that you were watching this, kind of feeling like, "Damn, that's wild." So that being said,
It's falling in line with a lot of things that I've been watching on YouTube, other videos and stuff.
So I'm gonna just read this and we'll wrap up and be done. So that because this, I like I said, I think we're supposed to be going live tonight, so that'll be good that we can do that quicker or sooner than later. So the Eight of Pentacles in the Angel deck, this is what the booklet says, and I'm gonna actually read this in reference to the divine masculine. So let me shift my verbiage here. Their work is in their heart or their studies. They've committed to learning about their career, vocation, or project. They're definitely on the right track. Their dedication, skill, and talents will be appreciated and rewarded soon. But there is more to learn. They're considering taking classes related to their interest or profession, and a serious commitment to going back to school or research is now called for. So what they're doing is being really diligent. They're trying to pay closer attention to the details in life. They're trying to make sure that when they finally, decide here, now, this is where I plant my seed, they're making sure that everything is prepared for it so that that can be the beginning of their kingdom, the beginning of their expansion, the beginning of really a very long cycle in their life. And I feel like this is what a lot of divine feminines had to understand. Depending on where you found out about twin flames, where you met your divine masculine, where all these certain things happened, you may not, if your divine masculine cycle ended right here at this line, but you met them here, you see, no matter what, you had to wait. The closer you met them to the end of their cycle, the less likely you probably felt crazy and right. But if you met them all the way back here in their cycle of growth and change and all of that, well, then you still had to wait for them to get where they needed to be for the new cycle to begin, especially if you were not meant to be in their life until the new cycle. Some of you got lucky and it was ordained and destined for you to be a part of this as well. But remember, this is the end of a cycle. This is the final countdown. This is where someone is going to fight, kick, scream, do whatever they can to avoid the new. And so some of you may have gotten lucky to be in their presence, but also unlucky to have to deal with their denial.
Presence.
Well, exactly. So be aware of that. But we've reached a turning point. This is big. This is huge. Okay, we're going to get going. Oh, wait. Okay. So wait, before you go, Mr. Lightwork is about to post his video. So right after this, if you don't know who Mr. Lightwork is, he's my divine masculine. If you do know, he's about to post a video on his channel, Mr. Lightwork. So go over there after this. After that, you can go to either of our channels because we're going to set up the table to go live and we will be back probably in like 20 minutes or something. So watch Mr. Lightwork's video and then come back and chill with us. If you've got questions, get prepared to ask them and we will see you soon. Really quick, I was going to give away some career services stuff, meaning I was going to give some people resumes and give some people a opportunity to talk to me and have a brand conversation about their personal brand and enhancing their personal brand for their next phase of life. And I didn't announce it. And so I feel bad because a couple people contacted me today and said, hey, I saw your post, but I was too late. But I never heard you talk about it. Can I please sign up? So in the community tab on my channel, there is a post that says win career services support. If you are interested in winning a free resume or brand, I still don't really have a name for it because it's not really what I do for my my typical clients when I'm offering readings and stuff. But basically, we're going to talk about your personal brand or provide you with some interview assistance. It really just depends on what you need. I'm still working on what exactly it is that you guys would need during this time. I'm only offering my career support services during the pandemic, so but I do feel like it's a great opportunity for me to use some of my old skills. I used to have a grant funded position with United Way for employment coaching in my community that I grew up in. So I'm really comfortable and familiar with this, but I just don't know what it is that you guys need right now. So if you're interested, go find the post. If you see the post and you know someone who would be interested, share it with them so that they can sign up. And I'm going to update the post to make sure that now that I've announced it one time, that at least at least enough people will be able to do it. And I will change it to Sunday. That way it can still be before next week that we can get everything scheduled. So want to win, go to my community tab where the community posts are and look for the one that says free career services support. Win here and do that. Okay. My website is thefierygrace.com. You can email me, thefierygrace@gmail.com, if you'd like to work with me, or if you want to get an auto reply back that will tell you what working with me is like in terms of like the steps. I accept PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. This week, all my sales are on divine masculine related services and all the services with me and Mr. Lightwork or just Mr. Lightwork. So if you're interested in working with either of us or getting something divine masculine related like this, a divine masculine reading, I have a sale right now on my website. Go check it out, thefierygrace.com. I think that's everything I'm supposed to do. I'm Fiery Grace the Gifted. I'm an intuitive life strategist here on YouTube. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't followed my divine masculine, Mr. Lightwork, go subscribe. He's got 5,000 subscribers now. What? Woo, woo. Are you about to go live, babe?
Live? I'm about to, yes.
About to premiere?
Yep.
All right, go to Mr. Lightwork's channel. He's premiering now. And we'll see you guys back in the chat shortly. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.